And so it begins. So we have about 4 different topics. That's 4 in Visaya. That would be Opat. 4 different topics that I wish to talk about today. Um, primarily, I'm going to talk about how to pay your taxes and the fact that not only are YouTube earnings taxable in the Philippines online blogging community, but also Patreon taxes. And I'm going to go through that one detail at a time and tell you how to pretty much avoid probably at least an hour to 2 hours of complications in the BIR, the Bureau of Internal Revenue for the Philippines, because the actual office in Bohol was not even familiar with whether or not you had to pay taxes on Patreon earnings. So that all by itself, that one question that I had for them when I went there, took about, it probably took 10 or 12 minutes for one of the tax agents to go research that. And then they sent me to a different office. But I'll go through that by the numbers. Another topic I want to talk about is Facebook. If you are asking me to be my friend on Facebook, you're not going to get a response. I don't go to Facebook. I don't work on Facebook in any way, shape, or form. I don't post on Facebook. I have possibly 3 personal friends that I grew up with that I will communicate with on Facebook, and maybe 2 friends that are members of my Patreon community. Other than that, I don't respond to Facebook comments and I don't go to Facebook. So if you're asking me to be friends on Facebook, you're probably not going to get a response. I have had 92 last week. People wanted to be friends. I don't know any of you people. I don't even know how you get my name on my channel, but I haven't posted anything on Facebook in a month. So don't expect a response on Facebook. So what I did do, as all professional bloggers or vloggers do, they make notes on what they want to talk about. So today's topic is going to be where you have to go to pay your online taxes and how long it's going to take and how you need to get there early to get a number. And I also will talk about the new visa office located in a town called Poblacion, Poblacion. Whereas if the office in Tagbilaran City is closed, the only place that you can get your visa applications renewed or your new visa applications applied for is in this town called Poblacion. And your final destination is going to be a church called St. Augustine's Church. And I have a video up of that with the map of St. Augustine's Church, and it's called Bohol's. The name of the video is Bohol's New Visa Office Directions and Costs from Alona Beach and Tagbilaran City. So I'll talk about that after I go through this procedure to get your online taxes paid. But I will give you a caveat that the deadline for filing for a TIN, T-I-N, Tango India November, your TIN number was July 28th of 2020. So if you did not do that by that date, the next time you can apply, from my understanding and what I was told 2 days ago on Monday, is that you'll have to wait 1 more year to apply for a tax identification number, your TIN number. So if you already did that and you have to go back to the BIR, Bureau of Internal Revenue Service, this is the procedure to do that. And the last topic that I might get to today is going to be I want to do a show strictly based on comedy, of course. And it's going to be this comedy, this comedy live stream is going to be called Philippines National E-Beggars Day live stream. And it's going to include the world's 10 best scam tactics and the top 5 YouTube e-beggars, LOL. And it will be strictly comedy, of course, which is what my channel is based on. So if I have some time today, and if I receive a certain amount of super chat for people that are interested, I'll mention this comment again. I'll just continue the show about the online tax information. I'll just continue it to the next segment, which will be strictly comedy. So let's get started. I'll go to my comment section. Up the Hapsters. Well, welcome to the machine, Mr. and Mrs. Hapster. I do see Mr. and Mrs. Hapster's live streams and videos as some of the best videos on YouTube. By far better than, I would easily say, in the top 5% of the bloggers on YouTube. And there's a reason for that. And let's just be frank about this. Mr. and Mrs. Hapster, they go outside their domicile or home, and they actually walk along the beach and on the jetty of the beach, and they speak with people in the malls, and they show you prices in the malls in Hawaii. Mrs. Hapster is a Filipino woman, and Mr. Hapster is an American. And they actually go out of their house and walk into a forest, walk down a hillside, which is relatively steep and even dangerous. So they are one of the few bloggers on YouTube. I would compare Mr. and Mrs. Hapster in Hawaii to another very big YouTube channel called the Village People Philippines, where that woman also walks around the Philippines and speaks the native language and walks into the personal properties of hundreds of different types of businesses and environments. She's an actual blogger, and she also gives you descriptions about prices and the cost. A lot of them are cost of living in the Philippines, which I have several hundred of as well, about the prices for building materials and construction costs. And now her husband has a channel called Lucky B, Lucky. Lucky B is in boy, and he's building a facility on his property called Little England. So they are actual bloggers where they're going to show you the price of items in Hawaii, the cost of different items in the Philippines. And now the Village People Philippines, the husband, is showing you how to build, I think it's a koi pond, and how he's going to build it and where he's going to build it. So these are actual bloggers where they actually walk out the door of their house and give you information that's helpful. And then if you go, like for instance, if you go to Lucky B's channel, which I suggest you subscribe to, he had a problem getting fittings, which is a problem in the Philippines, getting plumbing fittings. They do not have any, they don't even have 10% of the fittings that we have in America. So he asked the question how he could get something to work. And on his channel, probably 20 people left all intelligent responses where to get those fittings. I explained that a pool drain would work for his koi pond for the drainage, because he couldn't buy anything in the Philippines, so he could go to an online pool supply. Another man also confirmed pool supply for 2 other types of fittings. Another man said double up the size of the gasket, but all intelligent commenters, and most of those commenters have channels. So that's what a real blogger has on their channel. They have people giving them instructions and help and where to buy parts and things like that. And anything short of that, I would not consider a viable channel to learn anything substantial in the Philippines about. So, thank you, Mrs. Hapstead. Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Hapstead. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to tell you how to pay your online taxes in the Philippines. So the first thing you need to understand is if you didn't register by July 28th I can do this without the glasses. If you didn't register by July 28th of 2020, you're going to have to wait till next year to apply to pay online taxes. Now, there's an office called the BIR. That's Bravo India Romeo, BIR. And that's in Tagbilaran City. It's one long block behind the Altoris Mall. So when you walk behind the Altoris Mall, you walk uphill one long block. And then you're going to see a couple of big construction projects going on up there. And you will be within 150 feet of the BIR office. So I will suggest to you that you get there at 7:30 in the morning, because what they do is they give you a number to get online. And the numbers only go up to 150. And on some days, those numbers are all given out by 8 o'clock or 8:15 in the morning. Now, I went out Monday morning and I got the number 12. So, but it was only 20 minutes to 8. So I left and went shopping. You don't lose your place in the queue. When I returned at 10 o'clock, they were up to number 31. So all you do is show them that you had the number 12, and they allow you to go into the office, at which point you're going to walk up the stairs, and you're going to see the agent at the top of the stairs. And he or she is going to give you a number based on what you want to do. Now, they're not familiar with YouTube tax applications, so that man had to go and research where he should send me. And the reason for that is because based on the number they give you is based on what window you go to. There are 8 windows. So when he returned, he gave me a number to go to window number 6, which is new applications. That woman said, yes, you can pay YouTube taxes, but she had no knowledge of paying Patreon taxes. So she said, please sit down and wait a while. And I went and sat down, and she left her desk. She actually stood up and walked into a back office. And she came back a few minutes later and said, follow me. And I went to the back office. But you still have to get a number to go to window number 6. From there, she escorted me to the back room, where a woman asked me to see my ledger book for my monthly taxes for July, August, and September. And I showed her the ledger book, and I showed her screenshots of my YouTube and Patreon. But she had no knowledge of whether or not I could pay Patreon taxes. So I was in a hurry, and I said, well, just let me pay them anyway. And she said, no, sir, we have to confirm that they are necessary. Otherwise, we can't take your taxes. I said, okay. So she left and came back about 12 minutes later. And she said, yes, sir, you have to pay taxes for your Patreon. So I gave her the ledger book with the numbers for YouTube and the ledger book with the numbers for Patreon, but I made it very simple for her. I also showed her screenshots of my earnings for both of those online earnings. At which point she filled out a form, and I forgot the number of the form. I don't even know if I still have that form, but she filled out a form for me with those numbers. And then she totaled it up. And then she said, "Sir, you will take this form to an accounting office downstairs, but outside the building. And then they will fill out the balance of the information on the form itself. That will take, once you get into the office and they take that form, an accountant will take that back to his or her desk, and then they will figure out your taxes and what you owe the BIR based on 3% of gross earnings. They'll put those numbers in that form. I think it was a 1721, but don't quote me on that. When you get that form, you will go back into the office of the BIR, at which point you will get another number from the agent at the top of the stairs to pay your online taxes at window number 8. That's the last window on the right. And then on the screen above that window is what window you go to and what number. So my number was, I think, 64 at window number 8. And when you get to that window, that woman will take that form from the accountant. She will enter it into what's called the registrar and tell you to pay the number that the accountant came up with, which is based on 3% of your gross earnings. You'll give that to her in cash. I don't know if they take credit cards. Most places only take cash. You pay that money, then you take the receipt that's attached to the accountant's form as proof of payment, and you go back to the accountant's office and show them the receipt. If you don't do that, it won't be registered properly, that's for sure. So when you go back into the tax accountant's office, you do not have to wait in line. They will take that immediately as the next item to service. What they will do is take that form and the receipt, and then they will tell you that you can come back in 24 hours. They will give you back your form, back your paid receipt, and a confirmation number that the taxes have been paid. But you don't have to go back in 24 hours. You do have to wait 24 hours or the next business day at least to get that confirmation number. So I happened to have to go back into the city, and I was in that accountant's office at 1 o'clock Monday, and then at 10:30 Tuesday, I was in the office and they had my paperwork processed. And I walked in, one of the ladies stood up and handed me my paperwork, process done. And I said to the woman, "Do I have to come every 90 days? She said, "No, sir. You can come after you have your screenshots or your ledger book full for the 3 months in the quarter." So this quarter was the third quarter. So the next quarter is the fourth quarter. So I still have to do that. Now, at some point, there is a $5,000 forgiveness for earnings on YouTube. That doesn't take place until the fourth quarter, depending on your yearly earnings. So I do think, and I could be wrong, that in the fourth quarter, when I go to pay my taxes, being that I didn't earn $5,000 since July 27th, I won't have to pay taxes. I think it's so hard to do all of this in one day. So basically, I have a series of videos I'm going to post only for my Patreon members. It's basically, it took 10 steps. I thought it would take 12, but I put down part one of 12-step program. That's going to be the series. So there's actually parts 1 through 10 of the 12-step program. And if you include the 2 days I went back in July, that makes it the 12-step program. But I didn't put those videos up. So I'm going to go back to my comments section and say hello to the people that are here. There's something else I want to talk about. I'm not going to be going through every comment. I just don't have time, and I'm not going to go through every comment in my comments section. Okay, so thank you, whoever you are, and thanks for the comments. But if you're not actually a member of my Patreon community or a member of my Super Chat community, I just want to keep following my notes, okay? Because if I get sidetracked with every comment, I just won't have time for your... It disrupts my cognitive ability to focus on the matters at hand, okay? So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for the comments. But so many people are new every day. I don't know who you are. Then one man, woman says, I was a member, subscribed to you a few years. Well, you want to explain? I have a question for you. You want to explain to me, if you can, if you've been getting my notifications, News Now Newcastle. This is a question for you. Have you been getting notifications for the last few years? Or did you just refine my channel because you stopped getting notifications? Okay, Mrs. Hapster, thanks. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Hapster and I have a special relationship because we're both actual vloggers. And an actual vlogger is someone who leaves the house. Mr. Hapster says, hubby said, thanks for all the info you are giving. He would like to meet up with you one day when we are ready to transition to the Philippines. I would love to see Mr. and Mrs. Hapster. There are a few people that I have met, Mr. and Mrs. Hapster, and every encounter that I had was pretty much fun. I even had people that were supposed to come and that were kind of adversarial, and they said, I want to meet you. And I said, okay, I'll meet you at McDonald's at 12 o'clock. And I was there, and they forgot to show up, or they couldn't show up. And then I called them on the phone and at the hotel, and the hotel didn't answer the phone. So I was the only one person I was supposed to meet that didn't show up. I have no idea why. But I would love to meet Mr. and Mrs. Hapster because they are intelligent people. They actually have something to say, worthwhile. They actually have something that they show people that's worthwhile. Now, Mrs. Hapster, to give you, for instance, while she's doing a live stream, she's usually cooking some delicious meal that takes 7, 8, or 10 different components to combine. And then she has different fruits and vegetables. That's interesting in and of itself. When she goes to the mall, she walks into the mall and she shows you probably, I've been in a very high-class mall in America, in Ohio, right next to the state capitol. But Mrs. Hapster's mall in Hawaii, I think that supersedes any other mall I've ever seen. So they have stores called Chanel where they only sell perfume, and they're probably paying $10,000 a month for rent. I don't know, but I would imagine. And then they have stores that just sell name brand watches like Rolex. I mean, you got to sell a watch every once in a while, and Rolex watches are, I think, an inexpensive watch is $3,000 or $4,000. So Mrs. Hapster brings you to probably the nicest mall I've ever seen, And they actually have something to say, and they actually say it too. And Mrs. Hapster gets involved with her audience on the beach. Someone gives a name that someone comes on the beach, she'll write down, "I love so-and-so" in the sand with a stick, or she gives you a little heart, and a little heart like that. And her famous saying that made Mrs. Hapster famous is "love, love, love." So I did see someone abusing Mr. and Mrs. Hapster about 2 or 3 days ago in a comment section. I don't really think that was called for. So I wish to thank Mr. and Mrs. Hapster for stopping by, and I also wish to have a meeting with them when they come. And if you'd like to share a United States telephone number with me by picking out some old random video that I have, you can post it on some old random video, some useless video with 70 or 100 views, and then I will see it in the spam folder, and I can call you when it's convenient for you. If you plan on coming to the Philippines and you're interested in coming to Bohol, I would tell you there's not a lot to see in Bohol. It's a beautiful island. It's probably one of the nicest islands in the Philippines. Certainly was in 2014. It's getting a little bit more crowded than I wish that it would have been, which was a topic of another live stream I did, where in 2014 I moved to Bohol because I went to a beach called Alona Beach, and it was the most beautiful white sand beach. And just off the beach, about 350 feet, was a beautiful, pretty much pristine reef in about 7 to 10 feet of water at low tide and 12 feet of water at high tide. And I don't think it had 25 boats on Alona Beach in 2014. 25 pump boats. Maybe there were 35, depending on which way the wind blows, because different wind will bring boats from the lee side of the island. So let's just say there were 35 pump boats in 2014. Now, in December of 2019, there were 350 or 400 pump boats. The beautiful, pristine reef is gone. It is completely devastated. There is virtually 3% or less sea life, fauna and flora on the reef as there was in 2014 due to pollution. From suntan lotion is one of the biggest causes of reef devastation, because the suntan, people slather it up when they go in the water so they don't get a sunburn. The oil comes off their skin, sits on top of the water. The waves knock the suntan lotion down to where it falls to the bottom, straight like little droplets, like rain droplets to the bottom. The oil sets on top of the coral, and the coral dies pretty much within a few days. And that's just one way. And then you have the gray water coming from the hotels because they don't have proper septic systems on Alona Beach, for sure. So the reef outside Alona Beach was why I moved here. And then in 2019, there were 10 or more times the amount of boats. And in 2014, they were calling to build 14,000 new rooms on the island of Bohol and Panglao. 14,000 new rooms on top of what already existed. Well, that link is gone. Bohol inspectors or the municipalities will confirm that 4,000 plus new rooms have been built, but that's just on the island of Panglao. And then there are several thousand more off the island of Panglao, but there are several thousand rooms and I'm not going to start naming names and streets and where they are, but there are several thousand more rooms that were no plans were applied for, no building permits were applied for them, because a lot of the properties go off the road anywhere from 400 to 1,200 feet off the road, and all you see is a little dirt path. All you'll see is a little dirt road into a forest, just like a 12-foot path into a forest. And when you come out the other side, 600-800 feet away from the main road, you'll see 15 or 20 houses, little houses, and not one of them has a permit. Now, I personally don't care, because that's not my business. My point is that there are 4,000 plus rooms on the island of Panglao that are registered as new rooms, and there are probably 2,000 or 3,000 new rooms that are not registered. And if they had aerial surveillance like we had in America, even if I put one piling in without a permit, 1 square foot would show up on the aerial surveillance pictures, and they would come into the person's house and say who did this work. And if they didn't have a permit, that person would get fined. And if they told them I did it without a permit, then I would get fined. So I lost a lot of work because I just wouldn't do permitted work, because they can also happen to be flying over the job site when you have your barge down, which, by the way, my barge was 30 feet by 50 feet, and it was very recognizable because of the shape of the barge itself. So let me get back to the comment section. The Hapsters, all that's too bad. Ah, that's too bad. Oh, Mrs. Hapster, my birthday, where the name of the video for my birthday is Real Men Go Diving, on their 65th birthday. Now, I did not choose to go diving on Alona Beach, but because of the lockdown, well, there's 2 sets of dive sites. There's dive sites for the tourists, and there's dive sites that only the locals will ever be brought to. I know where they all are, but because of the lockdown, the boats could not leave the perimeter of Alona Beach. So I was destined or destitute to only be able to go to the Alona Beach Reef, which was okay. The dive center that I use, Valm, V-A-L-M, Valm.com, he's a great guy. Prices are reasonable, 3,000 pesos for 2 tanks, no 500 peso surcharge for the first dive. Very professionally run. The dive masters are very attentive when you're underwater. However, I would have chose a different dive site, and it probably would not have been Balikasag Island. Although that's a beautiful dive site, there are much better dive sites that you can pay to go to. But I'm not going to name the names of those dive sites so that the main bulk of the tourists don't destroy that area of the untitled dive sites, shall we say. Because I watched this happen in Key Largo, Florida. Key Largo is the dive capital of the entire world. Key Largo, dive capital of the world. You can Google it, and that's what it's going to come up as. And there were reefs that were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, pristine, not as nice as the Cayman Islands or Bonaire or Curacao dives, but they were gorgeous reefs in 1980, when I first started diving from Marathon Key. The reefs were spectacular. And now you go to those reefs, it's just a rock. Some of them have, there was a wreck called the Helmer Hooker, I think it was, and I dived it in 1980. And it had absolutely gorgeous coral and flora and fauna on the reef. And the boat itself in 33 meters of water, 35 meters of water, 40 meters of water, depending on what part of the reef, what part of the boat you were diving that day. And then I went back of course, in the 2000s, and it was just a dead reef. The boat was still there, but it had nothing. There was no life like there was back in the 1980s. Now, the reef's right off Key Largo by the ship that they sunk out there, the American warship. Those reefs were beautiful too back in the 80s, 90s. That's when I dove them, in the 90s. Now in 2005, it's just a dead reef. And that's what's happening here in the Philippines. The reefs are dying. 50% because of the suntan lotion that sinks to the bottom and basically smothers the coral, and 50% due to septic water. So it's already been 6 months since they closed the reefs down, and very, very, very few new pieces of life are being born on the reef. It could take 20 years for the reef to come back to its original habitat, and that'll never happen, because it would have to be 20 years of no tourist industry. And they're getting ready to open it back up again, which will mean that it will expand to Balikasag Island and some of the other more private reefs, which I won't tell you the name of or the locations. The lats and longs are pretty much strictly just for the locals that dive off the island of Panglao. Now, Mrs. Hapster says, she's talking about Village People Philippines. Very, 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 very good channel. And she did get her 100,000 subscriber plaque a while back. Very good. She's really good at articulating in English. She's actually quite proficient at English. She even goes through the trouble of repeating what she wants you to listen to several times so that you hear it the second or third time. And she gives prices, she shows actual people working. And what I like about Village People Philippines is that they had a worker that she explained. She confirms what I said about workers in the Philippines. Village People Philippines confirms what I said about workers in the Philippines. Village People Philippines was building what they called a low-end bungalow or house. And she had some workers on the job, and she explained to the worker she wanted all, A-L-L, all the window frames put in before the man rendered the walls, which makes sense. If you have all the window frames in, and you'll understand what I'm talking about, if you have any knowledge of construction, you put the window frames in, you put your base coat down of stucco, and then you render the walls with the final coat to the window frames. Well, this guy was rendering the walls almost up to the holes in the wall, but not putting the frames in, and going from room to room and rendering up to the rough opening of concrete broken block, the opening which was like 30 by 60, let's say. Well, that means he has to put the frames in and then has to put 2 more coats and render it up to the window frames. That's twice the work. So Village People Philippines said, I don't want you to do that. I want you to put the frames in first. And he refused to do it. He just said, no, this is the way I do it. And she said, then go away. And she fired him. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's what she said. She said, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm paying your wages, then go find another job. So she came and she gave the man 2 days to, there were many windows, and she gave him 2 days instructions. She came back each day and said, I want you to do it this way. He just refused. She just let him go. I think she did it on a live stream, on a video. In reality, I don't know if that video is still up. So anyway, she does have some good information. Her uploads are good, says one Filipina. One Filipina. Oh, this is a new, oh, this is not the Hapsters. The colors are the same. One Filipina says her uploads are good and filled with useful information. Her live streams are filled with men and abusive people. Her live streams are good and filled with useful information. Her live streams are filled with creepy men and abusive people. I have no idea. Her and her, you want to make a distinction between who her is and who her is not, and who her is and who her is not. Who her? That doesn't, I know that you're probably not familiar with the English language, but that, who is the first her? Her uploads are good. Who is that one Filipina? And who is her live streams are awful and filled with creepy men? No, I don't want to know the second one. I just want to know who the first one is. Just the first one. Who is the good live streamer? Please. So the Hapsters. So the Hapsters know Marino C MATV, and they're saying aloha. So in other news, I did make a note that all professional bloggers have notes that they take, by the way. And also most bloggers that blog, here's some information. If you want to be called a blogger, you don't always have to go out and make videos about the local surroundings, but that's what bloggers do. So now I've been remiss for a few weeks at a time, but I do always have new stuff on my Patreon account that most people don't see because you're not a member of my Patreon account. And I don't post a lot of videos on YouTube anymore because there's no point. Unless, of course, we're doing a special live stream. No, I won't say that. So basically, actual bloggers go out and move around outside the house. Now, you can't be a Philippines blogger, in my opinion. You just can't be a Philippines blogger, in my opinion, unless you walk around and show the stores, the names of the businesses, how much it costs to get an ice cream cone, where the location of the business is. I don't drink beer, but that would probably be a good topic. How much does a beer cost? What kind of beer is it? What size beer is it? You could get a San Miguel in Alona Beach. It used to be 85 pesos. Now it's 60. I don't even know if it's the same size bottle. They might have a different size bottle because I don't drink beer. But that's the kind of stuff that people want to know about. So this week I did several videos on the new visa office in Bohol. That's called blogging or vlogging. I did a video on the cost of car clamps. Now, you might not think a parking fine video, how much the fine is and how to get the car tire clamp off your car is important. But I'll tell you one thing. If you get a car clamp on your car tire, you'll need to know how to get it off and which office to go to. So these are important videos for people to see. And if you Google parking fines in Bohol, you're going to come and see that video. If you Google car clamps and parking fines in Bohol, how to get a car clamp off your car in the Philippines, you're going to see a blog on where the office is located and how to get to the office. Although there's no actual map to that office that I could give you a link for, I did give you instructions how to go to the office. Any tricycle driver will be able to bring you to the office. So let's move on. Now, I also did that visa office, which I did provide a link for. That's called vlogging or blogging. Now, the show that I really want to do, and I want to do just the show in and of itself, by itself, standalone. I want to do a comedy show based on real life comedy. And the name of the show, oh boy, the name of the show, you guys, wait till you see the name of this show. It's going to be all Michael Fazio. The upcoming show, and I'm not sure what day I'm going to do this, is going to be called Philippines National E-Beggars Day live stream. World's 10 best scam tactics, LOL, and ampersand, top 5 YouTube e-beggars, LOL. That show, you will be required to make me bang the pot. And you know, and I know, and everybody knows that when I bang a pot, I make a lot. So you'll have to start off by sending money, and then I'll give you some information, and I'll bang the pot. And when I bang the pot and I get some money, I'll give you another piece of information. And then when I'm done with that piece of information, if someone decides to be generous, as they always are when I bust out the world's most well-known pot, stainless steel pot, that is, you'll give me some more money and I'll bang the pot some more, because everyone knows that when you bang a pot, you make a lot. Now, proof of this is a channel called Flying Circus, and he has a video on his channel called Bang a Pot, Make a Lot. And what he does is he bangs the pot. You see him banging the pot with a spoon, and then he shows you inside the pot, and there's a piece of paper in the pot itself. Wait, let me, I don't know if you're following all of this. Let me go get the pot, and I'll show you how this works. Just give me about 10 seconds. 9, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and we're back. So what Flying Circus does, if you're not subscribed to Flying Circus, you really should be subscribed to Flying Circus. He takes a pot like this, and he shows you the pot, and then he bangs the pot. Let me get something to bang the pot. He bangs the pot, right? He goes, yep. He bangs the pot, and then he shows you the inside of the pot, and inside the pot is a piece of paper like this. But underneath the paper, under the paper inside the pot, after he bangs the pot, is cash. And he says it works, because it works. To bang a pot means to make a lot. Now, something else I'd like to add to that. I've heard stories, I don't know if they're true, that some people are e-beggars on YouTube. Well, depends on what you call an e-beggar. So let me go back to the comments to make sure nobody's posting anything stupid. Not yet. Okay, the Habsters. So an e-beggar is someone that asks for money. I don't think so. I don't think so. It takes time to put. Dennis Adams, welcome to the machine. Thanks for stopping by. Dennis heard the pot, but we don't need any super chat today. We're going to save that for a very special day when we're gonna do the that special title I told you about. What was the name of that? I even forget sometimes. It's so complicated in my life. Philippines National E-Beggars Day live stream. World's 10 best scam tactics, LOL, top 5 YouTube e-beggars. So what one person calls an e-beggar, another person would call a YouTube earning or earnings, or a YouTube earner, E-A-R-N-E-R. For those of you who don't know how to spell, E-A-R-N-E-R, earner, earners, plural. So if a person comes on to the YouTube and says, give me money, and doesn't provide a reasonable reason for the money to be given to them, and just comes on and says, give me money, well, that's an e-beggar. But if a person comes on and puts a show on and gives you some information or makes you laugh, then they deserve whatever monies they get. Now, we could talk about we could talk a little bit about some of the best e-beggars on YouTube, a little bit. I mean, or we could talk about some of the greatest scams that ever existed on YouTube. I think I'll save that for the show. But we also could, one thing we can talk about is the most generous man on YouTube. And we know him to be so because he gave several $1,000s away this week. There's a guy in Manila that does the same thing. He gives away food and cash. I forgot his name. But of course, who I'm talking about is the Warren Hunt. Now, I don't know what Warren Hunt gave away. I heard stories about how much money Warren Hunt gave to a man named Barry Jordan. I don't watch Barry Jordan's channel. Probably since Barry Jordan started blogging, I watched, 10 minutes of his total YouTube career. But I do know that Warren promised him $10,000 US. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I did hear that Warren sent him 3,000, which I don't think that would make Warren a liar to only send 3 of $10,000. But I don't know that Warren did that either. So if Barry Jordan comes on YouTube and asks for money, and you don't think that he puts on a show, you just don't have to give him money. If you don't think he needs the money, you don't have to give him money. But if you want to give him money, that's up to you. It's your money. I mean, I would never take money away from someone who asks for it if they deserve it. And there's even the flip side of the coin, whether or not Barry Jordan, some people say, does not put on a good show. I think Barry Jordan in and of himself is a show. For the few minutes I've watched him, he's got an upright, bubbly personality. He never, that I know of, that I've ever watched, only the 10 minutes that I've watched, he's never gotten upset and threatened anybody. That is probably not a good thing to do. Up, Dennis, we have looting and protests in Philadelphia. Here we go again. Oh my God, Dennis. Philadelphia. That's sad, Dennis. That is really sad. So I'm going to just get back to Barry for a minute. And then, Dennis, if you want to provide a link for that, I'd appreciate that. So Barry Jordan, in and of himself, puts on a show. His channel is a show to show you how some people live in the Philippines. Now, me personally, it doesn't affect me how Barry lives. Doesn't bother me that he lives where he lives or how he lives or what he lives on. Never has affected me. I don't think Barry Jordan's ever mentioned my name in a negative manner. And I probably will never mention Barry Jordan's name in a negative manner either, because he doesn't affect my lifestyle or my life. So in and of itself, Barry Jordan puts on a show showing you how it's possible to live in the Philippines, and if I remember correctly, on $480 a month. Okay? That's hard to do. So in one respect, you got to give Barry Jordan a lot of credit for living on such a small budget. And on the other hand, if you want to condemn Barry Jordan for living on such a small budget, I think that's a personal problem. I don't think it's any of anybody's business. So now, Dennis Adams, so that's as far as e-begging is concerned. If someone asks for money and they get it, then it's none of your business. Not one bit is it your business. It's not, shouldn't be, even though even though everybody will tell the nosy busybody it's none of their business, the nosy busybody will still come on and make it his or her business. Go figure. Dennis Adams, getting back to Dennis Adams, says, we have looting and protests in Philadelphia. So for those of you who don't know what Philadelphia is where the Liberty Bell is. It's like one of the states that Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where there were quite a bit of took a big place in the Civil War, and back in the 1800s, making the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence. If I'm correct, I think I'm correct. I'm not the best history major, but it's a very famous place, Philadelphia. A very small city, too. It's not a big city. One of my family members lived there, and I think you could walk from one end of Philadelphia to the other in an hour without much of a problem. So let's see if I had any other topic matter, because if I didn't, that I want to talk about. No. Nope, just the upcoming show, Philippines National E-Beggars Day live stream, inclusive of the world's 10 best scam tactics, LOL, top 5 YouTube e-beggars, LOL. And I will name names, and it's all comedy, because if you don't like what I have to say and you don't believe that what I have to say is funny, just don't watch the show. How simple is that? Okay, so I covered that topic. I covered the topic of where, I'll say it again, where the new visa office, I don't think the visa office in Tagbilaran City is open. It was on the second floor, 2 blocks from the Alturas Mall. But when I got to the entrance of the visa office, the man downstairs in the window making place said the office is closed. And then he said that the new office is in a town called Poblacion, 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 Panglao, which is 22 kilometers from the BQ Mall. So you're going to have to go to Panglao to get there. So let me just give you the exact instructions. Yeah, I'll give you a wrench, Dennis. Then you can post links. How do I get it? Give you a wrench. Add as a moderator. There you go. Now you can post links, and then I'll take that away from you, because I know you don't like the power of being a moderator. We went through this once before. Yeah, I'd appreciate links to that. The city of brotherly love. Hey, that's where I live, in Bohol, the city of friendly people, the island of friendly people. Thank you, Dennis. So let me get to my videos. Thank you for posting it 3 times as well. I'm going to get, okay, so now we'll have to take Dennis Adams. I'll leave that up in case you want to post some more links. But thanks. So what I could ask you is, when did the riots start, Dennis? Did they just start recently? You know what I could talk about? I could talk about that psychopath president that we have. Although people think that he is the greatest thing since Oreo crackers, I don't personally think that. I could give you 10 examples of why, but the primary example, just based on what Dennis did, that link, if there are riots in a famous city, First of all, Trump allowed hundreds, if not more than hundreds, possibly thousands of historical statues to be ripped down and torn asunder all over the United States without doing a damn thing about it. Trump is just as much responsible for the riots, in my opinion, as Black Lives Matter and Antifa. I don't think you could differentiate between Trump starting the riots, Antifa creating the riots, and Black Lives Matters participating in the riots, inclusive of George Soros and the Club of Rome as well. You don't think that Trump, if you don't think that Trump is part of the New World Order, then you are sadly mistaken. So Dennis said it started this evening. You are sadly mistaken if you think Trump is going to make America great again. Trump was placed in office to make you believe that Trump was going to make America great again. Everything he has done, he built up America, he reduced the unemployment, and then he destroyed the American economy and created the unemployment at 6 or 7 times what it was when he came into office, all based on what Trump knows for a fact to be false information. And that's his game. He makes you believe he's going to make America great again. Obama made you believe he was going to make America great again for the minorities of America. Both of them made you believe something great was going to happen. And the only thing great that happened with Obama or Trump is the Great Deception. Now, I'll go through it. That's just one. Now, the second one is going to be based on Dennis Adams' link, where there are riots in the city of Philadelphia, brotherly love. Okay? And also Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. Trump is a New World Order shill that has been placed in office to make you believe that America was going to be great again, while they screw the American people every which way they can. So why do I say that in conjunction with the riots in Philadelphia and Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon? Because this political animal, this President Trump, this liar and thief, just like Obama, same two peas in the same pod. They grow up in the same dirt. He could stop the riots. He could have stopped the riots, not by sending in the National Guard, which he could do. But then he said, well, it's up to the governors. But he didn't have to let it be up to the governors. He could have given assistance to the police departments in Seattle, Portland, and now Philadelphia in the form of non-lethal microwave sound cannons, where no tear gas would be fired, nobody would lose their eye socket or their teeth or get holes in their chest or exploding projectiles in their face and destroy their brains by crushing their skulls. None of that. They just turn on an electrical microwave non-lethal sound cannon and it repels the crowds. Did Trump do that? No. We spent over $100 million, probably a great deal more than that, to develop non-lethal sound cannons that we had back in 2010, that they were supposed to be built for the very reason to fend off riots and rioters without injuring the rioters. So what could Trump have done? Trump could have given instructions and people to bring those non-lethal sound cannons. All it is a big radar dish about 6 feet by 8 feet. And all it does is it points microwaves at a human, at anything, and it makes your skin feel like it's getting hot and on fire. And what you do is you run away. Now they don't have to. They could cook you with it if they left it on long enough, but they can just put it on for a minute, and you're gonna the toughest guy, the toughest woman, the toughest warrior. Doesn't matter who you are. Nobody in the trials that they showed us, nobody could withstand the radiation in microwave radiation from those sound cannons for even just a few seconds. Nobody. It doesn't matter. Unless you were maybe on CPV or CSPV, some whatever chemical, PCV, that shit they smoked embalming fluid, that or something else. But unless you were on that kind of a chemical, everybody else is going to be repelled by the sound cannon. So would have saved tens of millions of dollars in riot gear, because the police don't have to be in riot gear because the rioters are never going to go near the police. They could have saved tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars in fire damage, because people are not going to come down that block. And these sound cannons run on electric. No projectiles firing out of shotgun-like weapons to, if it hits you in the face or the chest, it breaks your ribs or your face or your cheekbone or breaks your head or your skull. None of that. Just they turn it on for a few seconds and you run away. Nobody doesn't run away. Everybody runs away. Even if you had a mattress, a bed mattress, 6 inches thick, and you put it in front of you like you were going to walk forward, even through the mattress, it repels you back in seconds, like that, gone. You're just going to drop the mattress and run away. Already proven in trials, already showed back in 2010. And what did Trump do? He used none of that. They gave the police paramilitary training in the great state of Israel, how to bring people down, how to knock them down to the ground, how to rip their legs out from underneath them, how to twist their arms behind their back, how to do this and how to do that, when all they had to do was bring in these non-lethal sound cannons, which they probably have thousands of, put them on anywhere they want and say, look, if you pass that line, we're going to turn this on for 30 seconds and you're going to run away, and you're going to run away and it's going to be over. But did Trump do that? No, Trump didn't do that, because Trump is just a different face of the New World Order, and Trump is a liar and thief. Now, another thing that Trump is going to come down on the American people with is Trump tells you there's going to be a vaccine weeks, days after they said this, whoa, the jabba-dabba-doo, we have a jabba-dabba-doo problem in America, a jabba-dabba-doo we have. And he tells you within days this is going to be fixed in a few weeks. Well, first of all, he lied. Second of all, he knew about the jabba-dabba-doo epidemic on October 17th of 2017, or October 12th of 2017. You can look up Fauci, Fauchie, or Fauci. Fauci tells Trump there will be an epidemic, a viral epidemic. Oh, God, what did he say? He said there was going to be an epidemic 3 years ago. He explained unquestionably that on Trump's watch, there'd be an epidemic of a viral epidemic of some sort. Somebody, I forget all these links that I read, but so Trump knew about this 3 years ago from his medical advisor, Fauci. Fauci told him, he knew about it, and then he made like, whoa, this is a new thing. That's bullshit. So Johns Hopkins University on October 12th of 2019 did a practice epidemic in New York City on October 12th of 2019 for the jabba-dabba-doo epidemic that supposedly wiped out the economy of the world, which has nothing to do with reality whatsoever. So Trump lied about not knowing about it. He lied about it being repairable or fixable in a few weeks. And now he's going to use the military, which I think breaks a rule called posse comitatus or something like that. He's going to use the military to give the people the jabba-dabba-do itself. Or if they take on the same measures that they have in Australia, which are draconian, to say the least. The Australian government has placed draconian measures on their people in regards to the jabba-dabba-do epidemic. This is where it's headed. Australia is just a test place. This is what Trump's plan is. And Trump, who's Trump working with? The great state of Israel. And in the same sentence, we're going to add one more famous guy. The great state of Israel and the gates of hell, baby. The great state of Israel and the gates of hell. The great state of Israel and hell are Trump's two bestest friends. So Trump spent $6 billion before a cure for the jabba-dabba-do was ready. He advanced the jabba-dabba-do, build a jabba-dabba-do cure before they even know what the jabba-dabba-do was. And then you have to understand that the jabba-dabba-do is a particular strain of a particular type of bug. And by the time the jabba-dabba-do cure was made, is made, will be made, and put into a container where they could inject it into you, the jabba-dabba-do will have changed into a new type of jabba-dabba-do. So the original cure for the jabba-dabba-do won't do anything to the original jabba-dabba-do. But here's the caveat. This guy, Trump, he is going to destroy. He's going to destroy America. He is going to destroy America. Don't believe me just because I told you back in March it was going to get way worse and it was not going to end before the end of the year. I was right about that. I was 100% right about that. Trump allowed riots in Portland, Oregon to take place for 150 days. Seattle, Washington, 150 days. New York City, 80 days, 60 days. Now the city of Philadelphia, for starting now again. And this is all subterfuge so they can pass all these rules, these draconian rules against the American people. You don't think that I'm right about this? And I am always right about my predictions because they're not my predictions. They're not my predictions. They are factual pieces of evidence that can be searched all over the internet as to what the plan for the New World Order will be. And Trump is the new face of the New World Order. So is he providing sound cannons for the city of Philadelphia? No. Did he provide sound cannons in New York City? No. Did he provide sound cannons, microwave sound cannons in Seattle, Washington? No. Did he have them? Yes, we have hundreds of them. Where are they? So they're not being used in Iraq. They're not being used in Iran. They're not being used in the Middle East. We have hundreds of them on American soil. It only takes a few days to get them to any city, maximum a few days to get them to any city in America, and yet we never used one sound cannon that we, the American taxpayers, paid $100 million for. That was a number back in 2010. What we paid for the development of the sound cannons in technology was $100 million, plus the cost of the sound cannons. Did we ever use one? No. We used them in trial demonstrations to show that nobody could withstand 30 seconds of microwave radiation. And then they put them in a box or in storage somewhere, and they just took probably $500 million out of the American taxpayers' coffers, and they built these things and never used them. Now, in addition to that, Trump took $700 $685 billion out of the taxpayers' coffers last year to sponsor bullets and bombs, ammunitions, munitions, planes, and support equipment for wars. Even though that's less than it was the year before, supposedly, he's going to take another $700 billion this year. $700 billion, that would cure every poor person's problems in America. But he doesn't want that. He wants the banks and the insurance companies and the mortgage companies to rape and pillage the American people, just like what is going on right now. Trump is the new face of the New World Order. Obama was the face, or the old face of the New World Order. Bush is and was and always will be, George Herbert Walker Bush, the one person that made the statement, rest assured, there will be a New World Order. You people don't get it. You just don't get it. My friend Gary Kennedy and my other friends that love Trump, probably he's your best bet. Probably he's your best bet. And all he's going to do is make you believe that all of these draconian measures and laws that they're now putting in all over the world about the jabba dabba do and bank accounts and whether or not you'll be able to buy or sell goods or own stuff. Here's the plan in a nutshell. Here's the plan in a nutshell. Here's the plan in a nutshell. The plan is to destroy the economy and make everybody full of debt. That's the plan. Then they're doing this in Australia, if I remember correctly, giving the people the opportunity to get out of debt. So let's say you owned a multi-million-dollar house and you don't have a job anymore. Then you owned $1 million boat and you owned 5 cars and you owned a couple of motorcycles. Let's say you owned all of that and you can't pay your loans on those items. No problem. The International Monetary Fund, and I think it's Australia, the International Monetary Fund is going to come in and say, sir, ma'am, we will forgive your debt. But, and this is a big but, and you people don't get it, this is where the world is headed. This is where the world is headed. In order for the International Monetary Fund via the Federal Reserve and the banks and loaning institutions all over the world to forgive your debt, you have to agree to 2 or 3 different things that nobody would normally agree to. One is you give all your known assets up to the people that are relieving you of debt, which would eventually, and no one knows who those people are just yet. You give all your assets, your house, your cars, your boats, your motorcycles, your airplanes, your yachts, your businesses too. You can own nothing. You will become a citizen without a business, without a house, without a car, without a boat. You'll be moved into a bigger city and live in a hotel or an apartment debt-free. That's your choice. But with that debt forgiveness, it's called debt forgiveness. With that debt forgiveness, you will have to agree to 2 more things. You will have to agree to never try to own another house, another car, or another boat, or start another business. This is called destruction of the human population by attrition over a long period of time. A slow death, like the frog boiling in the water. That's the second thing you agree to. You agree to never try to own anything again, and that you'll live in this public housing where they can spray as many chemicals in the hallways to kill the cockroaches and the ants, and God knows what else they'll put in those chemicals, possibly lithium, possibly other chemicals. You'll never know. You'll become a walking, talking zombie once you move into those high-rise roach hotels. Then that's the second thing you'll agree to. And the third thing that you're going to agree to is to accept the mandatory vaccination program under President Trump's regime, not political reign, his regime, because it's not a single jabba dabba do. It's what he calls the jabba dabba do program. And how does that work? You accept debt forgiveness, the fact that you'll never own anything again and you'll never want to own anything again, and you'll move into public assisted housing. And you also agree to take the Jabba Dabba Do program, which is not one or two or four or five or six Jabba Dabba Doos. It's a program. And each time they believe you need a new Jabba Dabba Do, you go take one. Or you will have no access to what money you do have is available to you. But more importantly, you won't be able to buy food. And you won't be able to leave the country. You won't be able to travel freely. You won't be able to get a driver's license. You won't be able to get a passport if you don't take and agree to the Jabba Dabba Do program. So let's say you say, okay, I'll give you my house, my car, my boat, my motorcycles, my airplane, and my business. I don't want the Jabba Dabba Do. You think that you're going to live in public assisted housing, which is what I said a few minutes ago? No, you're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. There's a caveat. If you don't take the Jabba Dabba Do program, then phase 2 of the non-Jabba Dabba Doers. I like that. The non-Jabba Dabba Doers. Non-Jabba Dabba. If you don't Jabba Dabba Do, here's what happens to you. You are detained in a detention camp specially designed for the non-Jabba Dabba Doers until you either agree to take the Jabba Dabba Do program or you stay there indefinitely and you never come out ever for the rest of your life, if and or how long that lasts, because who knows what they're going to do to you in there. So that's your options, and that's what's happening in test areas of all over the world, but I think it was Australia. So if you're not going to be a Jabba Dabba Doer, you're going to be placed in a guarded security detention center, and I think you get food and place to sleep, and that's it. You don't get, and whatever, maybe you get some recreation, I don't know. I remember back in when they were building what was called FEMA camps, I remember those. They had courtyards where you could go move around, and they had like swings, and this is your whole family too. Whoever is not a Jabba Dabba Do, your whole family can go there. But they also had, I think they bought 8,000 hydraulic guillotines, and they put those in the FEMA camps. And you could Google that, hydraulic guillotines, FEMA camps. I don't know what the article. You could Google it. I'm not going to be posting 1,000 links all over the place, but that's true. Now, if they scrubbed it from the internet, well, then that's what they do. So, like, there's a subject now that if I even talk about, and that piece of shit, Plasma Burns, stop sending me links to stuff on YouTube. You watch my channel, you know damn well you're not allowed to post anything like you're sending me, and it got spammed. But the stuff that you're posting, wherever you're posting it to, if I okayed that link that you sent me, you're not allowed to post that kind of crap. So stop. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to that spam folder, and then I'm just going to block you. Don't send that garbage to my channel. The hell is wrong with you? Why don't you start a channel, Plasma Burns? In fact, I'm going to block you as soon as I get off of the live stream. Why don't you start a channel, big guy? Start a channel Go out there and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Build up your channel with, what do you got, 3 subscribers, 8 subscribers, something like that. Build it up to where you get a couple of people that'll listen to your bullshit. And then you can post those links on your channel with 8 or 10 subscribers and get your channel taken down. Don't post that shit on my channel. And you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And you always watch my videos. So, Plasma Burns, you're getting blocked for posting stuff that will get anybody, even a blogger like Alex Jones. If Alex Jones was on the internet, and if Alex Jones posted that garbage that you sent me this morning on a channel with 5 million subscribers, 2 hours later, his channel would be gone. The hell is wrong with you? No, I know what's wrong with you. You're a piece of garbage, and you want to see my channel get taken down by posting stuff if I didn't pay attention to what the link was. Don't post that shit on my channel. In fact, that'll just get you blocked, and that's what's going to happen. I don't know what's wrong with you inside your head. I'd like to, understand what's wrong with you people. There are people posting stuff on YouTube with 1 million subscribers, similar to what you sent me this morning. 500,000 subscribers, 500 subscribers, 50,000 subscribers. One video like that gets your channel taken down, you stupid bastard. Plasma Burns, you're gonna get you're getting blocked as soon as I get off of here. I just left that link up on my page so that I could remember to make note that your shit can. Okay, so like I said before, if you're not a member of my Patreon community, or if you're not a super chatter, or you're not one of my personal friends like Dennis Adam or the Hopsters, probably not going to respond to your comments. Just don't have the time, nor do I want to get sidetracked. So I'm going to go to the article that Dennis posted. I'm going to open that up, and I think I'll read some of it. Okay, it's opening up, but you know what I should do? I really should have a sip. I think I'll do a man sip, which actually a man. Oops, something went wrong. Dennis, that link doesn't work. Hold on a second. Let's see what happened here. That last link did not work. The one ends in 8 November. Okay, so let's try the 9 India link. The bottom link did not work, Dennis. It said, oops, something went wrong. So I'm going to open up that other link and see if that opens up. They are really being strict as to what you can talk about. Nope. Again, oops, something went wrong. So those 2 links that you sent on my computer, apparently they're blocked in the Philippines, at least here. I don't know where else they're blocked. Now, there are a lot of people asking me to be friends. I'm going to go over this again on Facebook. I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. I think I communicate with, if I said 5 people on Facebook, that would probably be 1 person more than I've communicated with in the last year. I don't do Facebook. I don't know who any of you people are asking me to be friends on Facebook. I don't even take the time to go to your Facebook page, because people on Facebook are the most shallow people I've ever seen in my entire life. I do have a segment of a show. I'm going to do a little comedy skit about it. And that's going to be in, let me see the name of that video. It's going to be probably Sunday show, I think. I'm going to talk about Trump, and I'm going to do a comedy routine about a hemorrhoid. And this is going to get your attention, This is going to get your attention because not only is it comedy, but it's satire, and it may very well be true. We're going to talk about a hemorrhoid, and a very famous hemorrhoid at that, world famous hemorrhoid. We're going to talk about that and what his options are in this world and why he does what he does. I believe that after studying this hemorrhoid, this YouTube hemorrhoid, I believe that after studying this hemorrhoid and his inability to understand what reality is, I believe I have come to a conclusion as to why the hemorrhoid exists and who and why the hemorrhoid is friends with. But I won't discuss any of that. So, what was the name of that video I'm going to do on Sunday? Man, I have so many different possible. It was going to be Trump. The name of the video was going to be Trump is a psychopath, but I was going to read psychopathic. What are characteristics of a psychopath which fit Trump perfectly? And if you'll notice, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I made a video calling. In all my live streams, I mentioned that Trump is a narcissist, and I got the most thumbs down I ever got in my YouTube career. I got 38 thumbs down on a live stream. That never happened before, and that was because I put Trump as a narcissist in the title. But Trump is a narcissist. He is. He fits every characteristical trait of a narcissist, every one of them. And in addition to that, a guy, one of the major psychiatric or psychiatric doctors, or whatever they're called, that writes books and teaches about narcissism, sociopaths, and psychopaths. He put out a video last week about the presidential election, and he called Trump a classic narcissist, and with borderline, I think he said sociopath. I think he said Trump is a borderline sociopath as well. So I could be mistaken about that. But not only did I say it 3 weeks ago and then put it in a live stream about 10 or 12 days ago, but one of the world's leading psychiatric evaluators, people that do this for a living, also call Trump a narcissist and I think sociopath, because he is. Now, another reason that Trump is just the new face of the New World Order, and then I think I'll end this live stream. It's not in my notes, but it's something I remember. Didn't Trump say he had a whole bunch of promises? Now, Gary and I disagree on this, but didn't Trump say that he was going to prosecute Hillary Clinton for her Benghazi, something about Benghazi, and also, or was it her emails? So many things the Clintons supposedly did that were illegal. I think he said he was going to put Mrs. Clinton in jail, or something about you'll be in jail. I remember that. And then didn't he say he was going to find out about Mr. Obama's birth certificate? He said that too. I remember him saying that. I know for a fact he said that it's on the internet. But more importantly, what Mr. Trump, the narcissist, new face of the New World Order, said is that he was going to get to the bottom and allow the truth to come out about what happened in September of the year 2001. That he, as a builder, knew could not be physically possible. According to physics, it wasn't possible. And according to the history of the world, 3 buildings, because of fire, made out of metal and metal structures, never before in the history of the world did a metal superstructure building collapse because of fire. It burnt the inside, it did a lot of damage, it melted some beams, but never before did 3 buildings, even 1 building, ever collapse from fire damage. And yet, One just had an office paper fire that started in the morning. Miraculously, it started where the nuclear bomb shelter, nuclear bomb proof shelter for Mayor Giuliani, who's also a new face of the New World Order. He had a bomb shelter built in Building 7. This is a fact. You can look this up. And yet, on the morning of September of 2001, he didn't go to the bomb shelter. I think he went to Pier 19 on the west side. Why didn't he go there? Well, because there was an office fire. So this guy has a nuclear bomb-proof shelter that cost $10 million inside Building 7, which was built above construction standards by a minimum of 50%. More steel, more concrete, more rebar, more reinforcement. Building 7 was built 50% more stronger than was called for by the building codes of New York City. So 50% stronger than any code called for. And it had a nuclear bomb-proof bomb shelter headquarters in case there was a nuclear explosion in New York City. The one safe room in the city above ground would have been in Building 7. And yet Giuliani didn't go there. He went to a pier where they set up tents and water, bottles of water for the workers. He didn't go to the bomb shelter. It was a headquarters to run operations. And also, what you don't know about, you never heard about, nobody's ever talked about it except myself, Building 4, which also was destroyed. I believe it was Building 4. A friend of mine was in the city that day, and she worked in the lower Manhattan, but her friend worked in Building 4, and in Building 4 was a Class 3 or Class 4 bioweapons laboratory. And that building was destroyed. Boom. You didn't hear about that, did you? Pretty sure that was Building 4. So there's a lot of things that Trump promised that he didn't keep his promises on, and those are just a few. If I went through all of them, I'd get sick. John Allen. Hello, John Allen. Welcome, John. Thank you for stopping by today. I know you well. Thank you. We did meet in real life, didn't we? That was a long time ago, John. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, Dennis. Yeah, well, I think that's what it is. I think it was blocked in other countries. Yeah, because I've noticed quite a few, not just your links, which are perfectly okay for you to post. I'm sure they work in America, but they're not working in the Philippines. The internet has become no longer a place of truth, justice, and the American way. If you'll notice, well, I could name, if I name what's trending, what that piece of garbage Plasma Burns sent to me, I mean, it's a major news, 100% blocked worldwide. Anybody that can block it is blocking it. And I won't even tell you what platform it's playing on. But it is playing on different platforms, but not American-based companies. But, I mean, it's clear as day who's in the video, what he's doing, what he's smoking. Not clear who he's with, but it's described who he's with, and what his relationship is to a certain politician. If I put that on my channel, that video, if I would have posted it on my channel as, yeah, hey, come and watch this, I would just simply lose my channel. People with 50, 100, 200,000 subscribers are losing their channel because of videos like that. And there are many videos, according to some guy named Steve. I'm not going to mention his last name, but Yeah, you're not allowed to talk about a lot of stuff anymore. So that's why on I cut down on some of the stuff. I still plan on doing that comedy live stream. What was the name of that video again? I forgot. I ought to put it down. I ought to copy it. Let me copy this and put it in because it's going to be. I think it's going to be Sunday's live stream. I can't remember. Philippines National E-Beggars Day. Let's see if we get to the 10 best scam tactics. Yep, we're going to do that. We'll put that letter there. Let's see if we can get this on. I'm going to post the name of the show I'm going to do on Sunday. Here it is right there. Upcoming show. Philippines National E-Beggars Day live stream. Ampersand. World's 10 best scam tactics. LOL. Ampersand. And the top 5 YouTube e-beggars. LOL. Let me get that posted. It's going to be an upcoming show. And I'll tell you why people deserve to make money on YouTube during that show. And the fact that we spend our time making shows for people to come and watch our shows means that we deserve to make money. Ed Van Hagen. Because people like you, using you as an example, don't send me enough money. Or in fact, in your case, you don't send me any money to compensate me for the time it would take for me to set up another channel. So if it takes me on average an hour to load a video to YouTube, title it and tag it, and or do a live stream, which is going to be going on 2 hours soon, and my time, let's just say my time is valued at $20 an hour, but it's worth more than that to me. And you send me nothing for the time I put on YouTube, and now you want me to increase that by 100% by setting up another platform to do live streams and post videos on, and yet you don't want to pay me to do that so that you, Ed Van Hagen, or somebody else, and I might get 50 views or 10 views or 20 views, and I'm going to spend hours to post the video on some other platform, whatever the names of those other platforms are. I don't know because I don't go there. But you want me to spend hours to post videos on other channels where I'll get 2 or 3 views, or 10 views, or 50 views, but I won't make any money, just so that you'll have the pleasure of watching more truth, but you don't want to pay me for my time. That's why I don't set up other channels on other platforms. And to get money on those other platforms, I have to set up bank accounts and give them routing numbers and account numbers, and that all takes time. And you want me to go to another platform so I can get 20 or 30 views on a video. But you, Ed Van Hagen, you don't want to pay me for my time. So why should I do that? Let's just say, Ed Van Hagen, you really want me to set up a new platform. Let's say, I think there's a platform called BitChute, right? We'll figure out a way, or right here, you can just send me $100 several times today and $100 several times my next live stream. And when we get up to $1,000, I'll set up a BitChute account. But we have to get $1,000 of earned income. Because remember, YouTube takes 30%, which makes everything easy. I don't have to do any paperwork. At the end of the year, YouTube took 30% of my taxes out, and they send me a 1090 form, whatever it is, 1040. I forget because it's several months ago. So they send me a form, and my taxes are done. And but people like you don't want to pay me nothing. You don't want to give me money to set up a new platform. You'll have me waste 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 hours of my time, and you'll give me nothing towards my time, so that you might have the privilege. You might come to my channel. You may give me a thumbs up. I don't give a flying crap about thumbs up or view counts. If I did this for thumbs up and view counts, I would just stop doing this. Do this because I want to do this, but I'm not going to do it on two different channels. So now instead of spending 2 hours on YouTube, now I got to spend another 2 hours on BitChute for what? 3 people show up to watch my live stream if I have one over there. I'll read your comment. Somebody allowed it, and that's good that they allowed it. I was going to allow it anyway, so let's see what you have to say. Yeah, I don't really care about BitChute, and I don't really care about my view counts. If I did, there we go. This is the circular argument. It's like what you get in the Philippines. It's not worth my time. Make it Ed Van Hagen, singular Ed Van Hagen. Make it worth my time, please. Send me. Let's figure out how you can give me $1,000, and I'll set up a channel on BitChute. I promise. I'll do that. Now, you're not a member of my Patreon account. You've never super chatted me. You've never given me a shout out on your channel that I know of. If I went to your channel right now, do you have any of my videos posted as your main channel, as your liked videos? You've given me nothing for all the years you've watched my videos, and yet you want me to give you so that somebody, a few dozen people perhaps a week are going to see my expanded platform. I like my platform right where it is. And by the way, I don't care, again, about view counts or subscribers. It makes no difference to me. I already earn what I'm going to be maxed out on YouTube right now, today. I already earned that. And I don't care about new subscribers. Unless Ed Van Hagen, come on, Ed. Throw me up a couple of $100 super chats. Come on, I'll give it some serious thought. I'll make notes I'll even go to BitChute and review BitChute for $200. Just going once. Go somebody send me $200 and I'll go review what a BitChute is, what a BitChute channel is, because I've never been to BitChute. So let's see what Ed has to say. Ed is going to say, "Oh, I'm not going to send you $200. It's my Australian accent. I'm not going to say." Let's see. See, he said it was a fair answer. It is a fair answer. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being a little sarcastic. I'm giving you a little satire, and I'm doing a little comedy too, because you people have no concept. Ed Van Hagen, I don't know if you have a channel or not, and I don't know. I might be subscribed to your channel. I've never gotten a post, say anything you've ever posted, but if you do have a channel, I don't know that you do, because you don't post anything that I've ever seen, but you people have no idea how much time it takes. That's how much time it takes to go. Yesterday, I did 8 new videos of the Bohol visa office in different ways. I projected directions and how to get here from Alona Beach and also ICM Mall, because the first time you do the video you forget a few details and a few minutes later you do another one. So I did 8 videos yesterday, totaling about 45 minutes, but it took 45 minutes to do them. Then it took 20 minutes to load them. Then it took an hour and a half to title those 8 videos. And then it took 5 hours to load the videos. But that's not worth it. You know how much money I'll earn from those videos? $1 maximum per 1,000 views. And of those 8 videos, I might get 2,000 views total, altogether over the next 2 years. So I'll make $2 for 8 hours of my time. And yet you want me to spend 50 or 60 hours for no money at all. So, but it will bring some people to my channel on YouTube, because I have a reputation as a Philippines vlogger. That's what Philippine vloggers do. But BitChute, I don't know anything about, nor do I care. But I also did a 10-part series about the Bureau of Internal Revenue Service in Bohol, how to get there, how much it costs, what counters to go to. Those will never be seen on YouTube, ever. Probably never, ever, because those are for my Patreon members. And if they ever do get seen on YouTube, it'll be a long time from now. For multiple reasons, but it's just none of anybody's business. Some of the things nothing that I discussed is illegal or wrong or criminal, but it's a special thing I do for my Patreon subscribers, which are going to the Philippines, have been to the Philippines, or want to come to the Philippines. That's just a special segment of my video section that goes to only Patreon members. But Edvin Hagen, I'm still not seeing. Talking hundreds. Now, we're not talking about $5 donations. Don't waste your time with that. We don't want you to waste all that time putting all that credit card information in for no good reason whatsoever. All right, so I'm never going to go to BitChute, and I have a backup channel with a lot of subscribers on it on YouTube anyway. Just comes to YouTube to watch videos. There's your answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. And we're gonna give it a little bang anyway. You know me, I like to bang a pot because this pot is the most famous pot, could be the most famous pot in the entire world. This pot, this is the money pot, baby. Ready? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everybody. Edvin Hagen. Edvin Hagen, you are not limited to sending me $200 today. And let me tell you something else so that we're clear on this. Try to send it in $50 donations, because YouTube did steal $860 from my super chat. 3 different people super chatted me a total of $860 between the month of July and September, and all of those super chats disappeared. So, Ed, in fact, what I really need you to do is send it in $20 donations. So send me 10 $20 donations, because one of the $50 super chats disappeared. And I'm serious about that. YouTube stole my money. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's it. We're done. Have a great day. Let me post the name of Sunday's show. I think it's going to be Sunday's show. Let me post that up one more time. Upcoming show. Upcoming show, baby. Going to be funny, this show. We're going to portray some of the world's biggest and bestest scam tactics that have ever been developed on YouTube, for sure, and possibly even from Rabbi Jew Barker in the Philippines, baby. Amping Permi, which means take care always.